Mirrors. Do you like the person you see on the other side? Is it a reflection into the real world? Or a gateway into a world where everything is opposite? Grab a blanket, turn off your lights, and don't look into the mirror. Because you may just see more than just yourself. Confined in a mirror. When I was in the 3rd grade, my parents packed my 2 younger brothers and myself and moved to a house on the outskirts of a small Ohio town. The house was at the end of a dead-end street. Few houses, no railroad tracks, but surrounded by woods. The house had been built, lived in for 2 years, and repossessed by the bank. It sat empty for approximately 10 years before my parents bought it. There were 3 bedrooms upstairs, which were designated to my brothers and I. My room had 3 closets in it. I was a small child, and obviously did not need 3 closets, so one of them sat empty. My great-grandmother gave me a mirror that belonged to my great-great-grandmother before her. It was of medium size and trimmed in a gold metal braid. Every night, I would awake to hear that mirror vibrating on my wall. I would just lay there, at 8 years old, terrified at what could be causing it. I told my parents about it, but they refused to believe that something paranormal was in their home. After months of this, I had my brother, a year younger than me, sleep in my room. I had high hopes that he, too, would experience it. Not long after, we finally fell asleep. The mirror started rattling on the wall. My brother took that mirror down and put it in my empty closet. From that moment on, my closet was cold. Several years later, I talked to my great-grandma about it. She told me she gave me that mirror by accident. She said it should have been blessed and then dumped. Her mother had it before she did. It would also wake her. She took it down and slid it under her bed for some peace and quiet one night. When she was almost asleep, her mattress started moving up and down like someone underneath was pushing up on it. Any ideas what was in that mirror? That terrified me as a child. I've always been quite positive that it was an entity of some sort trying to escape. I was just never sure how it got trapped there or what exactly it was. This mirror problem was breaking me. One Friday night in 2004, a very strange thing happened with a mirror that was over top of my dresser. I was in my bedroom folding laundry and kept hearing what sounded like frying bacon. I went all over the house looking for what could be making that sound. It was the loudest in the bedroom. I checked all the plug outlets to make sure everything was okay. I checked above headlight fixtures. Nothing. I had shut everything down for the night around 11 p.m. and headed for bed. Sometime in the night, I woke up and had a most awful headache. I knew I wasn't dreaming. The pain in my head was too horrible and made me nauseous. After taking medication, I laid back down, and that's when I heard it again, frying bacon. I laid there listening a few minutes and finally turned on the lamp. I gazed around the room and everything looked normal. Then my eyes caught sight of a glare on my mirror. My mirror was literally cracking. That's what the sound was. It started on the bottom left-hand side, and as I watched as it slowly cracked, going diagonally to the other side. I backed away from it for fear it would shatter. Maybe it could have been explained away to reasons due to science, but I wasn't aware of any reason for it to just start cracking. A few days later, I had my dad replace the glass. A rather expensive replacement, I might add. I never heard the sound again until January 2006. I had remarried by then, and my husband woke me up one night and said, "Listen." I heard it right away and knew just what it was. I said, "It's the mirror." My husband's reply was, "What? Why would you say that?" He reached and turned on the lamp. Sure enough, it was cracking the same as before and in the same direction. Another expensive replacement the next day. He was shocked at the fact I knew what it was right away, and even more shocked when I told him the previous story. I had not told him anything that went on in the house. I didn't want to scare him off. In the years since then, so far no more mirror cracking. My wallet can breathe a little easier. "Trust me" was written in my mirror. I'm really looking for some input, comments, ideas concerning what happened last Saturday. Let me preface my story by saying we live in a brand new condo and have lived here for a little over a year. When we first moved here, my one cat was reacting to something she sensed upstairs. I was alone at the time and noticed she was all puffed and growling lightly, looking up the stairs. Her eyes were all pupil. This was the very first time I saw her appear mean. She always has a calm, sweet demeanor. So I grabbed my phone, put on the camcorder, and began videotaping the stairs as I went up them. My cat wouldn't follow me at first. She looked truly terrified. When she did start up the stairs, she went up one step, stopped, and waited for a full minute before taking another, and so on and so on. My daughter, who is 14 years old and frequently sees auras, has sensed something here that comes and goes. Although she's a little afraid and uneasy, she's okay with it. My 10-year-old son tends to be more creepers out, but we are all fine. I'm prone to believe it is my father, who passed almost 3 years ago. Now, last Saturday, I had taken my son to an early soccer game and asked my daughter to get ready while we were away, since we were going to see family right after her brother's game. My son and I got home and began going up the stairs to our condo. We are on the second floor, only to find my daughter sitting on the stairs. While she wasn't scared, she wanted to know which one of us wrote "Trust me" on the bathroom mirror. I could see her face that she wasn't kidding, and she could tell by our faces that we had no idea what the hell she was talking about. We entered the condo, went to our second floor bathroom, put the shower on, and closed the door for the room to steam. While we waited, my daughter showed us a picture of it. A couple minutes later, we entered the bathroom, and there it was. "Trust me." I write it in one quotation mark because that's how it appears, a quotation mark that appears before the trust. I am certain that my daughter would not do this as a prank, because she takes spirits far too serious to scare us with a prank like this. And it could not have been my son for two reasons. First, the writing is nicer than my sons could ever write. And number two, my son writes ours and us without the tail. The writing in the mirror uses the tail. And no offense to my son, but even if he was trying to disguise his handwriting, he wouldn't have done it using tails on letters and by writing so neatly. Okay, does anyone have input? I do have to say we are all getting creeped out, yet comforted by this. I have pictures I can upload if interested. Thanks, everyone. The Ghost in the Mirror. From the 16th to the 18th of August this summer, my mom, her boyfriend, along with my little brother and I vacationed at Ocean City, Maryland. Everything was wonderful, except for a motel named the Islander. To be honest, the room we were staying in couldn't have looked creepier. Basically, there were two beds in the room. One was closest to the door and window. while the other, my bed, was placed directly in front of the bathroom. Anyways, it was late at night and I had only recently gotten off my computer. Everyone else had fallen asleep already and we were waking up early the next day, so I figured I had to do the same. I walked across the room to turn off the light, and ever since I did, I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was being watched. The curtain to the window was closed and everyone was asleep, so I just thought I was overreacting at the time. However, the green light cast from the air conditioner spread just enough light into the room to see my bed, as well as the bathroom directly in front of it. For some reason, I couldn't help but stare into the bathroom, as if I might see something move in there. I tried to fall asleep, but my eyes kept on dragging over towards the bathroom. That's when I looked in the mirror, which I could see from my bed. It looked like a faintly visible figure was standing in the mirror. Keep in mind, I was laying down, and the mirror was elevated higher than the bed, so it could not have been me. It just looked like someone standing up close to the mirror from inside of it. What I saw scared me, and I was too afraid to get up in the dark and just close the door. Instead, I moved closer to my little brother, covered myself with the blankets, and went to sleep. The next night, I made sure that the bathroom door was closed, and while I still had that same terrifying feeling that someone was staring at me, it wasn't nearly as bad as having to actually look at the figure. The next morning, my mom began taking pictures of everyone and noticed a white haze over the pictures, so she began taking pictures around the room and said, "Wow, I think our room is haunted. Look at all the orbs in these pictures." As if my assumptions didn't make the room seem scary enough, now my mother even began to think the same thing. However, we all just denied it and laughed it off. After all, ignorance is bliss, right? Well, when we finally went back home to Pennsylvania, I couldn't be happier. That night, however, I had experienced the same feeling I had in the motel room. That same feeling that someone was staring at me. I have a large mirror near my doorway to the right of my bed, so that's the first place I looked, but there was nothing there. I also have a large flat screen TV directly in front of my bed, but the screen is the type that doesn't exactly create a reflection. I can't explain it really, but the screen isn't made out of the same highly reflective material that most newer flat screens are now. The frame surrounding the screen, however, is very reflective. I looked at the screen first and noticed nothing strange, mainly because it casts no reflection, of course. However, I experienced the most bone-chilling feeling when I raised my gaze towards the reflective frame just above the screen. I even jumped when I saw it. A gray face with empty dark eye sockets staring back at me. I looked away as fast as I had seen it and looked back, only to find it still staring back at me. Keep in mind, the lights were on, so I was able to see the face quite well. I tried to ignore it, but was so overcome with fear that I had to keep checking, only to find the reflection intact. I moved around, assuming it could have been a warp, strange reflection of myself, but it stayed the same. I looked all around the room for something that could have resembled the face on the TV, but nothing matched it. I desperately tried to blame the cause of the reflections on items around the room, but nothing convinced me. I just had to spend another night in fear that I was being watched again. The next morning, I saw the reflection still, so by then I really just thought that an object in the room was most definitely had to be the cause of the reflection. However, in the afternoon, I went back to check, and the reflection was gone. At first, I thought nothing of it and went along with my day, but at night again, as afraid I was to look back at the TV, the reflection was still nowhere to be found. I think that's what scared me more than anything, that the reflection changed. Yet the arrangement of everything in the room had not. Whether something from the creepy motel decided to come home with me, I do not know. All I really know is that I don't sleep without covering up the TV first.